get ready to crack up, and sit down with a friend or two. Because we've got some serious horsing around. We're definitely on a roll. And making a splash. In fact, we'll suck the laughs right out of you with some of life's funniest moments. There's kids with lids, a dog in a bog, and a jack-in-the-box hijack. So grab someone you love and wake up the kid. Because we're kicking up big laughs on life's funniest moments. Get some flippers, because we're headed back to Waterworld. The good news at Camp Wachamachi is recent renovations included the barracks, mess hall, and hiking trails. The bad news is we didn't have a lot of money left over to improve the canoes. Did we mention our new hiking trails? These guys figured that having ice on the water would make it easier to ride across. They thought wrong. Maybe the problem is not having enough ice. Oh, yeah, that's it. If they try to cross the entire icy creek, they'll have better luck, right? Maybe not. These are three boys who can't wait for summer to show up. Georgie just couldn't get the hang of the slide. He knew it was supposed to be fun, but all he was getting was tired from trying to climb up. But it's Mom to the rescue. She's going to give Georgie that head start he needs. Wow, I guess Georgie got the hang of it now. Thanks, Mom. It was Boris and Natasha's wedding day, so they prepared extensively. They scheduled the wedding for the summer and monitored the weather for 3 whole months. They even checked the Farmer's Almanac and found a day that hadn't seen rain in over 70 years. Unfortunately, with all the attention on the weather, no one thought to check the condition of the tent. After breaking the record for consecutive days without a bath, Matilda's friends celebrated the only way they knew how, by throwing her a public shower. Unfortunately, old habits die hard, and Matilda made sure to mix a little dirty in with her clean. Put on your game face and get that equipment adjusted, 'cause it's game time. In most families, it's the father who can be a little overzealous when it comes to sports. It seems every dad wants his little boy to be an athlete. However, in the Durst family, while Dad may want to be an athlete, it's Mom who's a little out of control. We're not sure about baseball, but Mom sure gives Butchie a head start on wrestling. The rules were simple. The puppies win, more game time. Mom wins, bath time. Looks like game time is over. Mittens reminded everyone of a young feline Boris Spassky. Unfortunately, Mittens appears to have a little of Bobby Fischer's temper as well.
Monopoly. You know, you only have $1.
Whiskers was excited about his weekend down at the shore.
You know what? That's only half.
But when the Boardwalk Hotel lost his reservation, he was forced to sleep outside. He probably wouldn't have fit anyway. Those little red hotels are so small. Once a chain has a monopoly, customer service is the first thing to go. Well, it is faster than walking the bottle around from table to table. What goes up must come down, so these clips have all the bases covered. This renowned artist prides herself on her interactive sculptures. She wants the observer to actually experience her art, even walking on it when possible. A noble sentiment, to be sure, but you'd think she'd work in a different substance than ice. Tim and Tanya are experts at the Ukrainian chair conga, a dance known for its big finish. That was not it. Forget the holy water. Looks like someone needs the holy ice pack. Biscuit was just learning the show course, but seemed to have a handle on most of the tricks. There's the languid leap, and now the double hoof hop. And don't forget the stop short. Biscuit liked the stop short the best, so much so that in the improvisational program, he decided to throw it in again just for kicks. I should mention that the rider doesn't care much for the stop short. The Johnsons' lucky daughter is getting a kitty for Christmas. What they didn't count on is that after they're all asleep, the kitty is going to drink all the milk they left out for Santa. Looks like that kitty is going to end up on the naughty list. You're supposed to throw the bouquet, not the ring bearer. Nothing makes an adult feel young at heart faster than a swing set. And nothing snaps an adult back into reality faster than a broken swing set. Coming up, a boy does a blind boogie. And fun at the beach goes downhill. When we return with more of life's funniest moments. Welcome back to Life's Funniest Moments. Here's some folks with a need to be noticed, so look what they can do. Harry was freezing. He wanted to get dressed, but Mommy was too busy with the camera. So he decided to take matters into his own hands. Well, he didn't find any clothes in there, but on the upside, he was a lot warmer. The inner tube has for too long been associated with lazy days and floating aimlessly. Well, no more thanks to the Extreme Inner Tubing League. That's right, see the exciting daredevils of the Extreme Inner Tubing League defy gravity and the hot sun to rampage down those sandy dunes and into your face. You'll see Carl Sand in My Pants Kreskin take on Miller Shakabra Sanchez. The Extreme Inner Tubing League. That's this Sunday, the Extreme Inner Tubing League. No rubes, all tubes. I don't want to say the Montalongo family is high-strung, but every day at 2:15, they do this. They really need to learn to relax. There's a reason little Timmy plays outside. Can you imagine what the living room would look like? Oh my goodness. Is it? Might be. Could be. Yes, I do believe it is. Yes, yes. This is a great day. It's Aunt Rose. Oh, he loves her. What a nice surprise. We've all heard of the Dance of the Seven Veils, but Victor thought he'd start with one and work his way up. You always remember your first kiss. And your second. And your third. Especially when they all take place in the same 10 seconds. As exciting as this show has been, there are some folks who just can't seem to keep their eyes open. He's not tired. No, he's just totally hypnotized by the pattern of that tile. I'm feeling a bit woozy myself. Ah, look at Muffin. He sleeps just like people. Now all he needs is his owner curled up at the foot of his bed. Of course Rosie's tired. Look at her yawn. She's had an exhausting day of being a cat. It's quite draining, running from one room to the other for no apparent reason and ignoring virtually every single person that calls your name. Those sugary cereals may give you a temporary energy boost, but when you crash, you can really crash hard. But on the bright side, they make for a comfy pillow. Coming up, open up and say, ew. And a baby takes a stand. When we return with more of life's funniest moments. Welcome back to Life's Funniest Moments. As time goes by, it's the good times you'll remember. Just ask these folks. As far as Mumbles was concerned, rules are rules. If he wasn't allowed to sleep on the bed, there was no way he was going to let Larry sleep on the floor. All his life, Ned has wanted to be taller. If he were just a Great Dane, he'd think I'd get more respect from the other neighborhood dogs. Well, after noticing the grass grow everywhere when it was watered, Ned hatched a plan. If it worked for the grass, why not for him? So he went out to get watered, waiting for the results. Unfortunately for Ned, the results are in. He's all wet. it finally happened. Blue's love of exploring has gotten him lost. With his tracks buried in the snow, he's not sure what direction he came from. So there's only one thing left to do. Write a message in the snow so he can be rescued. A good idea to be sure, but I'm not sure a helicopter will stop when it sees the word woof. Our days can get pretty complicated. With this crazy world we live in, it's easy to get swallowed up in our responsibilities and neglect the ones we love. The good news is, as self-conscious thinking beings, we know this and we can do something about it. That's why Mojo is always willing to take Gladys to the park. It's his way of giving back to such a loyal owner. Grandma and Grandpa's wedding anniversary would be something they'd always remember. Just a shame that the one thing Grandpa could never remember is his belt. Lovable, huggable, altogether wonderful. They're babies. Mark and Clark did everything together. They walked together, talked together, they even bathed together. But even when they were getting clean, Clark couldn't resist playing a little dirty. Yes, that Clark is a prankster, but Mark takes it all in stride. He would never let Clark's shenanigans send their friendship down the drain. The good thing about Daddy feeding you ice cream in such a goofy manner is that you never get that ice cream headache. Tommy was a little terror, but as long as he was in a safety box, his family knew the other children and the furnishings were safe. Oh my goodness, Tommy's loose. Run for your lives. Baby Binks was tired of waiting for his own teeth to come in, so he thought he would just help himself to Grandma's. It was the perfect public service announcement for recycling. A cute baby, a clown, and a clever slogan using the clown as a poor example. Only a clown wouldn't recycle. Get it? Then came the accident. One of the stars took a tumble. 18-month-old Sebastian Capelli agreed to share his story in hopes that it would inspire other babies to get on board with the whole recycling thing. He also hoped it might change the attitude of at least one clown. While the vacuum cleaner is a dog's natural enemy, Freddie and the vacuum became fast friends. See, Freddie and the vacuum understood each other. While a dog would only think that the vacuum was going to make him disappear, Freddie understood that the vacuum was only doing its job. Now, the toaster, well, that was a different story. Freddie couldn't really understand why the toaster had to spit out demon bread every morning. You know, maybe dogs aren't so crazy after all. Wally really wanted a Twister game for Christmas, but his family thought he was too young for it. So he took it upon himself to demonstrate that he knew exactly how to play. Of course, the game is a lot easier without the mat. Left foot beige, right foot beige. Maybe it's best for Wally to train with a rug for a few years before bumping up to the big time. Coming up, a chapeau showdown. When we return with more of life's funniest moments. Welcome back to Life's Funniest Moments. Ladies and gentlemen, may we present Hatapalooza, featuring the comedy antics of Joe and Larry. Critics are calling it the feel-good pageant of the winter. Parents are calling it adorable, not to be missed. Joe and Larry are saying, we haven't seen it. We actually haven't seen much of anything since it opened. See you next time.